DeWanna Bonner situation is one of the most unprofessional things I have ever seen in any level of professional sports, and it has to be addressed. If you're not familiar, DeWanna Bonner is cut from the Indiana Fever. We have just waived her, and we've brought back Ari McDonald. DeWanna Bonner has not played in the last few Indiana Fever games, and we were all thinking it was because of personal reasons. And all us Indiana Fever fans were thinking it was something big. I even said on a few of my live streams, hey,
this is what no one predicted. Veteran legend DeWanna Bonner was recently waived after effectively ignoring the Indiana Fever for weeks, but you might be surprised to learn the real reason for this chaos based on a startling claim from Christine Brennan. We're talking about something much deeper than basketball. What do you think really happened between the Fever and Bonner? In the comments section, share your theories.
Learned yesterday that DeWanna Bonner had no intention of coming back to the Indiana Fever. So initially we were wondering, hey, what is the reason? And the media has been feeding us this lie. The main reason why DeWanna Bonner is dipping out is because she wants to be in a starting position, and maybe she's mad about Lexi Holt outperforming her. Maybe she's mad about the fact that she's not getting the position of Natasha Howard on the team, and she's just been benched because she has not been playing well. They've also been saying that the fit is not well because she is a very slow player in a team that likes to play really fast. These are good concerns, and these are true probably to a certain extent, but that's not the end of it. What they've been trying to hide is the fact that DeWanna Bonner is leaving to go play with her wife.
All right. To be honest, the Indiana Fever's DeWanna Bonner situation is more strange than anyone could have ever guessed, so let's analyze the entire problem. The 37-year-old veteran was waived by Indiana on Wednesday after appearing in just 9 games. Let's first clear the facts of what actually happened, though, as Christine Brennan recently revealed the true cause behind this. Bonner, who signed a 1-year contract with Indiana in the winter, was expected to be a crucial senior player who would star alongside Caitlin Clark in the 2018 Fever. It was intended to be the missing piece that would help settle this young club during Clark's second professional season, so this wasn't just any pickup. However, this is when the intriguing part begins.
As much as Christine Brennan does very much lean anti-WNBA, she's still Christine Brennan. Like, I know a lot of people want to say, oh, Christine Brennan is this, Christine Brennan is that, but at the end of the day, Christine Brennan is Christine Brennan. She is arguably the most important female sports journalist of all time.
According to many league sources, although we've all witnessed players struggle with teams in the past, Christine Brennan's comments regarding this particular circumstance are absolutely absurd. DeWanna Bonner largely disappeared from the Fever for weeks prior to her dismissal, which she attributed to personal issues, and she has no desire to play for the team ever again.
So here's what she said about DeWanna Bonner.
Look at DeWanna Bonner, and there's reporting on her, and yeah. I don't have any inside reporting. So DeWanna Bonner was brought in by Stephanie White, the new coach, formerly Fever player and coach as well, for the Fever, brought from Connecticut, and she wanted to bring her star veteran, 37-year-old DeWanna Bonner, as a stabilizing influence. A leader went out in 2 games in the playoffs, and they needed more depth and more leadership and more veteran savvy, etc. So that's the decision that Stephanie White makes. Within a couple of games, DeWanna Bonner is not playing well, and then she disappears, and then she's literally now gone and says she doesn't want to play, and she wants to trade, and
so
we'll see what's happening with
weird.
Phoenix and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but the little...
We know up to that point. We know she was playing badly. She disappeared.
Prior to delving into this, it is important to acknowledge Brennan's extraordinary reputation as the world's most renowned female sports writer. Her reputation would be ruined if she were merely spreading baseless stories, but she is not just any random blogger making things up. Everyone is talking about Brian's ESPN insider information. Because Caitlin can't perform every grocery job, Brennan's stunning insight is that it's simply a really hot spotlight, and instead of enjoying it, accepting it, and making money, they're all getting all that things, the Fever players, because Caitlin can't do everything. Bonner couldn't manage it, didn't want it, or was getting to her. But for them, this is a great life.
No, like, this next part is the crazy part. And this next part is why I'm making this video. Because up to this point, from what Christine Brennan said, and this is Christine Brennan on ESPN LA. And it's a video titled Christine Brennan thinks Caitlin Clark can do the unthinkable.
Little clue here. I was at that game, May 17th, that home opener for the Fever against Chicago, and they just absolutely steamrolled them over 30 points. Great game by the Fever. And Bonner made it third all time at scoring, and had like some points. Her interview right afterwards, it's a joyous moment, right? I mean, we've all seen these interviews. Ramona, you've done them, I've done them. We were talking to the player. This is easy stuff, and she goes, "I was shocked." She said at the crowd. I've never seen anything like this, never experienced anything like this before. And I thought, what an interesting thing to say. Honest, yay, we love honesty. Yeah. But she's 37 and she's never seen anything like this. She meant it's 17,000 people, packed house, going crazy. They know their basketball, and they love you, and they love Caitlin, and they love everything about the team that Bonner is now on. Great, okay. And in talking to a source or two, it appears that Bonner was unable to, in some way, shape, or form, just deal with that spotlight.
Hold on a second. Are you implying that a 16-year-old champion who has witnessed it all is unable of managing the spotlight that comes with playing alongside Caitlin Clark? When you think about it, that's quite ridiculous, but it gets much more interesting from here. After her first home game, Brennan recalled a particular occasion that now made total sense. "This is my first time playing in this kind of environment, and the crowd kind of shocked me a little bit," said DeWanna Bonner, 37, of the Fever on May 17th. Consider for a second that this is DeWanna Bonner, a player who has won championships, played in major games, and been chosen an All-Star 6 times. Let's be honest about what the Caitlin Clark impact actually means for the Indiana Fever, since she claims she has never witnessed anything like what happens at Indiana Fever games now that she is there. We're talking about crowded arenas with 17,000 screaming basketball fans that are really enamored with this squad, not your average WNBA crowds. There is a whole different energy than the WNBA has ever experienced. Brennan's theory states that Bonner was unable to cope with the amount of pressure and attention that comes with playing basketball with Caitlin Clark. You're no longer just playing basketball when you're with her. You're a part of a phenomenon where every move is watched closely, every game is shown nationally, and the expectations are very high. Really, a veteran player couldn't handle success? My sardonic side wants to say. But honestly, this makes more sense than people want to admit. Not everyone is built for that level of spotlight. We've seen it in other sports players who can perform when nobody's watching but crumble when the lights get too bright. Bonner averaged 7.1 points and 3.8 rebounds per game before being waived by the Fever earlier this week. Those aren't terrible numbers, but they're definitely not what you'd expect from a player of her caliber. She went from being a consistent contributor to looking lost on the court, and now we might know why. What makes this even more fascinating is the timeline of how everything went down. Bonner signed a one-year contract with the Fever in February and started in the first 3 games of the 12-25 season on May 17th. She became the third all-time leading scorer in WNBA history with 7,189 points, so she hit this incredible milestone, had that moment where she talked about being shocked by the crowd, and then everything just fell apart from there. She got benched. After 3 games, started coming off the bench and then basically vanished from the team entirely. Bonner has not played since June 10th due to personal reasons, and now we're finding out that those personal reasons might have been her just not being able to deal with the circus that surrounds Caitlin Clark and the Fever. Here's what's really telling, though. The business side of this. Brennan pointed out that being on the Fever with Caitlin Clark is basically a gold mine for endorsements and appearance fees. Clark can't do every commercial, every appearance, every autograph signing, so her teammates get opportunities they'd never have on any other team. Most players would kill for that kind of exposure and those financial opportunities, but apparently Bonner wanted no part of it, and honestly, that's her choice. But it's also kind of mind-blowing. We're talking about a player at the tail end of her career who could have cashed in big time, but instead chose to walk away because the spotlight was too intense. The really wild part is how this all connects to the broader Caitlin Clark phenomenon. We've seen the numbers. Her games draw massive television audiences, sell out arenas, and generate social media buzz that the WNBA has never experienced before. But what we're learning is that not everyone can handle being part of that machine. Think about what Bonner was supposed to bring to this team, the 6-time All-Star, who the Fever signed to a 1-year contract in February as part of their attempt to retool their squad and add more seasoned veterans to complement Clark was praised by Clark. Clark meant, "Just the way she talks and she leads for me as a second-year point guard. I want to win for her. This is the end of her career. She deserves it." Clark gave Bonner a lot of accolades, which shows how much the squad trusted him to be that experienced leader. However, it seems like she buckled under the pressure of appearing on the Caitlin Clark show instead of rising to the occasion. Let's now address the major problem. Some will claim that Brennan has no concrete evidence to support this theory and that it is all speculation. Well, they may be right to be skeptical, but the truth is that Brennan doesn't just make things up. She is too smart and experienced to risk her reputation on complete nonsense. And when you look at all the pieces of this puzzle, Brennan's theory makes a lot of sense. Bonner's comments about being surprised by the crowd, her declining performance on the court, and her sudden exit from the team all suggest that she was unable to handle the strain of being a part of the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. It's interesting how this reflects the more significant problems the WNBA is currently facing. Not all players are ready to handle that level of scrutiny and pressure, but Clark is primarily to blame for the league's remarkable growth and attention. At this point, things start to get a little gloomy because while some players are thriving in this new environment, others are struggling to adapt. Sources claim that after missing 4 straight games due to personal issues, Bonner wasn't happy with her role and wasn't interested in returning to the team. We're discussing a Hall of Fame athlete who should be enjoying her last years, but instead she's declining what could have been an incredible opportunity. All of this has had very illuminating effects. As well, Bonner responded to the criticism she's getting after leaving the Fever on social media on Thursday. She wrote on Instagram, "A quitter, nah, never been that, but when the time comes, let's make sure the apology is as loud as the disrespect." She is clearly upset about how this whole situation has been viewed, and I understand that no one wants to be known as someone who quit when things got tough, but if Brennan's theory is right, then Bonner actually did quit because she couldn't handle the attention that comes with playing with one of the biggest basketball stars. This has important business ramifications as well. According to the same sources, Bonner was one of the most sought-after free agents during the previous off-season and ultimately agreed to a 1-year, $200,000 contract with the Phoenix Mercury. The Atlanta Dream are Bonner's favored landing destinations. Brennan's hypothesis that she can't take the Caitlin Clark limelight is somewhat supported by her desire to join teams where she can be a main focus rather than playing a supporting role to a superstar. She expressly picked Indiana to play with this bunch, and the Fever teams were waiting up to sign her. However, she has now been waived, so other teams might get her for nothing. The Fever signed Bonner with the express purpose of having her experience to lead this young squad, but instead they ended up with 9 games and a lot of controversy. And now they're hurrying to replace her leadership and output with the Indiana after DeWanna Bonner was fired. The Fever signed Ari McDonald for the rest of the season. The most exciting aspect is imagining what may have happened if Bonner had been able to adjust to the limelight and accept her position on this team. To be honest, this whole situation probably wouldn't have happened if Caitlin Clark hadn't been on the team. That's not a slight on Clark. It's just the reality of being a generational talent who brings your sport unprecedented attention. The Fever could have been serious contenders instead, but they're battling chemistry issues and trying to figure out their rotation on the fly. The way this relates to some of the larger conflicts we've witnessed in the WNBA regarding Clark's success and popularity is especially intriguing. It's evident that some players and media members are upset about how much attention Clark gets, and perhaps Bonner simply couldn't handle being in the spotlight all the time. The timing of this is especially cruel, and the new look, the distraction and roster issues are being faced by the Indiana Fever, who are in the heart of the postseason chase. All of this will probably act as a warning to other veterans who may be thinking about joining clubs with superstars in the future. With a chance to surpass 500 tourers for the first time this season, the squad will try to improve on their record of 77 against the LA Sparks on Thursday. That's it. You'd better be mentally prepared for what that terrain implies. even though the money and notoriety are enticing. This whole incident shows how drastically the WNBA has evolved. Regardless of whether you agree with Christine Brennan's account of why Dana Bonner truly left the craze or think there is more to the tale. What are your thoughts? For more WNBA drama and commentary, please subscribe if you liked this video.